Hello and welcome to your Geography Online class, my dear students. Today we shall be discussing the chapter Climate. When we talk about the climate of India, we call it as monsoon type of climate. Monsoon is an Arabic term. In fact, monsoon is derived from the Arabic term called monsoon, and this means season. So here, what is the characteristic of monsoon is that there are winds that blows in India from different directions at different times of the year. Based on the season, the wind changes its direction. During summer season, it blows from southwest direction, that is basically from the water bodies towards the land masses. And during the winter season, this very wind, it blows from land to sea, that is from its northeast direction. Hence, the wind that makes a larger impact to the Indian climate is the monsoon wind, and this is how the climate is been named as monsoon. There is another term that has been added to the monsoon, and that is tropical. Tropical, it is because the country is located in the tropical region, the major part of the country is located in the tropical region, and hence the climate of India is termed to be as the tropical monsoon climate. But this tropical monsoon climate, which is experienced throughout the country, also experiences differences, or it has some variations in the climatic pattern within the country. Though, as a whole of the country experiences tropical monsoon, not every part within India has the same temperature or rainfall condition, which results in the variations in the climatic pattern. So let us now discuss the factors that affects these conditions. We can call it factors affecting the factors affecting India's climate or weather pattern in India. The first point to discuss with the factors that affects the climate is latitude, or you can also call it as latitudinal extension. You see, India is a vast country. In fact, it's the second largest country in the world and has a vast extent of both latitude and longitude. So, any places that is located very close to the equator, that is 0 degree, will experience higher temperature, and places that are located far away from the equator experiences low temperature. On this note, we see that India's latitudinal extension begins at 6 degree 45 minute north at the southernmost point and extends until 37 degree 6 minute north. So that means we are very close to the equator, the lowermost part, and the northernmost part is almost 37.6 degree away from the equator. Hence, on this basis or on the latitudinal extension, you can say those areas that are located mostly South India, which is located close to equator, experiences high temperature, while North India, which is far away from the equator, has the lesser temperature. So this is where we talk about the latitudinal extension. The second is distance from the sea. When we talk about distance of the water bodies in respect to any of the place, then we have its effect. The water bodies, since they cool and warm up much slower than as compared to the land masses, they likewise place their effect onto the nearby water bodies. So on that basis or on that context, you can say any place that is located very close to the water body, they experience moderate condition of temperature. That means here the temperature is not very high during summers and not very low as well during winter season. But any places that is located far away from the water bodies tends to experience the continental type of climate. a continental type of climate is characterized by very high temperatures during summer and very low temperature. In other words, you can say the range of temperature in the continental type of climate is higher as compared to moderate temperatures or moderate conditions. The third factor that we could discuss about the India's climate that is been affected is mostly by the mountains. Mountains that we have to the north as in form of the Himalayas, and at the same time you can also consider the physiography. When we talk about the mountain system in India, we get to see the northern part of the country is bordered by the mighty Himalayas, and this Himalayas plays a very important role. Its significance lies in obstructing the rain-bearing wind that blows during the summer season from Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal towards the mainland India. This wind that carries moisture from these water bodies is obstructed by the mountain system, that is the Himalayas, and this is how India experiences very good amount of rainfall. While also during winter season, the cold wind that blows from the north, is obstructed by the Himalayas and thus does not let the temperature fall very low in India. So this is how the mountain system has been very helpful in moderating the temperatures, or you can say even allowing rainfall to occur in India. So this is how we can say the Himalayas controls the climate of India, acting as a climatic divide. The next, same as the mountain systems, is the physiography. Physiography, an elevated surface, so this you can also call relief. You can also use the term relief. Relief or physiography, it's the same. Elevated surface. It has two sides. One we call it windward side, the other we call it leeward side. So to the side of the mountain which obstructs the wind is known as windward side, and the opposite of windward side is leeward side. So let me just explain with the help of this diagram. So this is a mountain and the wind blows from this direction. This is side A and this is side B. You see the wind is blowing from this direction towards place A, and place A or the side A of the mountain obstructs the wind directly, while side B falls onto the opposite side. So the side which obstructs the wind, that is side A of the mountain, is considered to be the windward side, while onto the other side of the mountain, that is opposite to windward side, is known as leeward side. So what difference it brings is the windward side that obstructs the mountain usually experiences heavy rainfall than as compared to leeward side. The leeward side receives lesser rainfall and hence is also known as the rain shadow area. Fourth, we discuss the monsoon winds. Now the monsoon winds is of two types. In fact, it has two branches, not two types. One that blows during the winter is known as northeast monsoon, and the second one that blows during summer season is southwest monsoon. So this is basically depending on to the direction from where they are blowing. So monsoon winds, like we already discussed, it's a seasonal wind. The word monsoon wind derived from the Arabic term Monsoon, which means season. So that is why the wind is a seasonal wind. Once we see it blows from northeast, while on the other times it blows from southwest. It is all based on season. So northeast is during the winter and southwest is during summer. So let's talk about northeast monsoon first of all. Northeast monsoon winds, as it blows from northeast direction, we will find the northeastern part is mostly covered by land masses. So here, this wind happens to blow from land to sea during the winter season. It is because during winter, the land cools much faster than the water bodies and hence has high pressure over the land masses. And as wind always blows from high pressure to low pressure, so we get to see the wind during winter season blows from land to sea. The wind that blows from land to sea is usually a drier in condition or drier in nature, hence they do not cause any such amount of rainfall in the country, except to a place in Tamil Nadu called Coromandel Coast in the Eastern Ghats. That happens because a part of northeast monsoon wind blows over Bay of Bengal carrying some amount of moisture, and that moisture laden northeast monsoon that blows over Bay of Bengal is obstructed by the Eastern Ghats. And since Coromandel Coast is located on the windward side of Eastern Ghats, hence that is where they receive rainfall during the winter season. A monsoon rainfall during the winter season. Well, the southwest monsoon originates during the summer season, and it happens so because during summer season the land masses it heats faster because of higher temperature condition as compared to water bodies. So there is a low pressure condition due to high temperature over the land masses, and over the water bodies the pressure condition seems to be higher because the temperature is much lower. So on this context we get to see that the wind always blows from high to low pressure. So during summer season it blows from water bodies towards the land and the direction marking as southwest. Hence the monsoon is been given as the name southwest monsoon. The southwest monsoon that blows during the summer season causes heavy rainfall in India as it carries good amount of moisture from the water bodies that are located nearby. Now considering to the monsoon rainfall, we get to see that Coromandel Coast in India is the only place that experiences monsoonal rainfall twice a year. Once during the northeast monsoon it receives heavy rainfall, and during the southwest monsoon Coromandel Coast receives very little rainfall as it is located over the rain shadow region, or you can say Diwas. Now the fifth topic to be discussed is the upper air circulation, or you can call it jet stream. Jet streams is the movement of air masses at the upper level of troposphere at a height of almost 6 to 8 kilometers from the ground surface. There is a circulatory movement of air masses, and that movement is known as jet stream. The jet stream is further divided as westerly jet and easterly jet. The westerly jet stream blows during the winter season under the influence of the westerlies, and it results in the formations of a temperate cyclone over the Mediterranean region. So this very temperate cyclone, it happens to arrive in India during the winter season, resulting in the formation of little to heavy rainfall in the low-lying areas, and in the higher altitudinal areas it tends to cause the heavy snowfall. The westerlies, it enters through the west part of India, mostly the northwestern part, and it tends to disrupt the normal condition of the northern part of India. And thus, since it disrupts the normal condition, the westerlies that arrives, the westerly jet that brings rainfall is also known as western disturbances. It is a temperate cyclone that originates in the Mediterranean region. It brings rainfall but does not cause any such harm. While the easterly jet stream, this jet stream it occurs during the summer season, and it is mostly located over the Tibetan plateaus. It results in the low pressure to be formed over the Tibetan landmasses as well, and hence it intensifies the monsoon. In fact, it attracts the monsoon wind, larger amount of monsoon winds towards the landmasses, and thus causes heavy monsoonal rainfall in India. Now, as we discussed, the westerly jet stream that originates that in fact results in the formation of temperate cyclone over the Mediterranean region, it does not cause much of the harm. But during the northeast monsoon season, usually the month of October and November, a tropical cyclone originates in the waters of Bay of Bengal. And this tropical cyclone tends to create some havoc and obviously a disaster that washes out the eastern part of India or the eastern coast of India. This tropical cyclone is quite destructive, causing lots of lives and property, and usually occurs in India during the month of October and November, to what is we generally call it the retreating monsoon season. Apart from these 5 factors, there is the 6th factor, that is known as El Nino effect. El Nino and southern oscillation, we call it. When we talk about southern oscillation, it's actually the movement of water from one ocean to another, basically, usually happening in the southern part of the globe. The water from Indian Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, they mix with each other in the southern part of the globe, and thus to what is we call southern oscillation. During the southern oscillation, the El Nino currents that originates in the southern part of Pacific waters or South Pacific Ocean is driven towards the Indian part or the Indian Ocean, and thus results in the heating of the water bodies. So this El Nino, or during the El Nino year or El Nino effect, the winters seems to be a little warmer and the monsoon at that particular age and year becomes very less because of the effect of El Nino. El Nino is a warm current that originates in the waters of South Pacific Ocean with a time interval of 3 to 5 years. And this all happens because of the heating of the ocean currents at a faster rate due to rising temperature. As we discussed, that monsoon as a wind plays a very important role in determining the climate of India, let us try to understand a little details about the monsoon and how it originates. Like I said, monsoon is derived from the word monsoon. It is an Arabic term which means season. And this seasonal wind, it changes its direction at different times of the year, from winter to summer season. But how does this monsoon originate? How it intensifies into such a strong wind to bring heavy rainfall throughout the country, that is India. So let's discuss the details. The monsoon and its origin basically can be discussed in 2 different theories. One is called traditional method or traditional theory. The traditional theory suggests that monsoon originates because of unequal heating of land and water. The land heats and cools much faster than as compared to water bodies. So this is where we call it unequal heating of land and water. So in this case, what we understand is that the temperature, it affects the pressure of the water bodies as well as of the land. So when the land is hot, that means when the temperature is high, the land heats faster and the water remains to be much cooler. So in this case, with the cool temperature prevailing over the water bodies, it results in the formation of high pressure over the water, and the land masses, which is already heated because of high condition temperature, it tends to have low pressure. So this is where the wind starts blowing from water bodies towards the land, as because high pressure is formed over the water bodies. So this is how the traditional method or traditional theory describes the formation of monsoon, because of unequal heating of land and water. But this traditional method or traditional theory of formation of monsoon was criticized on the ground that only unequal heating of land and water cannot generate such enormous amount of moisture, land and wind to create or to generate so heavy rainfall in a country like India. So according to Flournoy's theory, he accepted the fact that there is an unequal heating of land and water, but there is an additional force to cause such huge amount of rainfall, and it is not only unequal heating of land and water. So according to Professor Flo, what he expressed in his views is that during summer season, the pressure belt shifts further northward. The apparent shifting of the pressure belt to the north results in the southeast trade wind that blows in the southern hemisphere to cross over the equator and enter the northern part of the globe. Usually, the southeast trade winds, it blows in the equatorial region from the subtropical high and is limited within 0 degree. Its counterpart in the north is the northeast trade winds. So the southeast trade winds, which blows in the southern hemisphere, you see it blows towards the left as owing to the Federal's law or owing to the rotation of the earth. Any wind and ocean currents that blows in the northern hemisphere goes to the right, and in the southern hemisphere it blows to the left. So here we get to see the southeast trade winds blowing towards the left. And as it blows towards the left, during summer season, due to apparent movement of the pressure belt towards the north, the southeast trade winds cross over the equator and enters the northern part of the globe. Now, as soon as it enters the northern part of the globe, the southeast trade winds, owing to the rotation of the earth, it changes its direction. And now, above 0 degree, instead of flowing in as the southeast trade winds, it changes its direction to southwest. And this is how the southwest wind originates. And you see India is located here like this. The southwest wind that originates blows over the water bodies and starts moving towards the land masses. As it blows over the water bodies, it carries good amount of moisture, and this is where the low pressure is formed over Indian land masses, and thus it's attracted towards India, causing heavy rainfall. So this is all about the monsoon and its formation. So thank you class for today.